Alright, what's good RPOBMXers? It's your boy Brad here with another bike check video, but before I do that, I know this week is Swamp Fest, so in honor of Swamp Fest, the Floridia Swamp Fest, you can follow them on Instagram and Facebook. It's an event they're holding down in Florida, and it's being held by Trey Jones and a bunch of Shadow Conspiracy guys, but it was basically Trey's idea. So in honor of Trey, I am going to be selling one of his brand new Cult frames that I did a bike check on earlier. I did an unboxing of the video, brand new frame, 20.75 top tube. It's got the awesome Gator graphics. And if you get a hold of me down in the comments section, I'm going to sell this now for $365. I think it retails at $384. And I also have a pair of Shadow Killer cranks in 175 millimeter in chrome. These have a 22 millimeter spindle. These are pre-owned, very lightly used. These are discontinued cranks, so I have this crank set available too for $140, and comes with the spindle and all the pieces that you'll need to put the cranks together, but not the bottom bracket unless you request. So that's that for today, and let's get into today's bike check, which is going to be the Stranger Honest frame. Now, I did also another unboxing of this frame because it has some really cool geometry, and I just wanted to build one up because I'm a big fan of 22 Crew. If you don't follow them on Instagram, it's 22 CRU, I believe, and they have a few guys there sponsored by Stranger. They're from Sweden, and they're awesome to watch. They're really progressive. And right here we have Stefan August, who is kind of like the team manager. I believe he's a team manager over at Stranger. He does a lot of their videos. And I tried to kind of build an honest frame with my touches to it. To try to not be exactly, a replica of his frame. So let me get into it. I'll start off with the frame. This is a 21.69 top tube. So that's a pretty long top tube. Average top tubes are between 20 inches and 21 inches usually. 21 and 21.25 are pretty much the max you'll get, but this one's actually 21.69, so it's great for an even taller rider. I did not build this for myself. This frame is actually for sale, and the build is for sale as well. So what do we have here for specs? We have a 5-inch tall head tube at 75 degrees, which is pretty much standard degrees for the head tube. We have a 71 degree seat tube, which is also very standard. However, we have a 10-inch standover here. So the standover area is usually from the middle of the bottom bracket to right here in the center of the top tube where the seat stay is. And that's a 10-inch standover, which is a taller standover than most bikes. I would say right now the average is between 8.7 and 9 inches. So to go to 10 inches is kind of neat. It's interesting. It's more, it's toward road bikes, but if you watch the style of those guys ride and the way they ride, it just makes sense, and it's comfortable as well. Let's see what else. There's a 13.6 inch back end. This bike's, most people that ride this are going to probably throw some pegs on. I just did not at the moment. But the 13.6 back end here is a little longer right now than normal for most street bikes. Most street bikes cap out at around 13 inches. Some are a little bit longer, like the sleeper frame I just showed. But I believe that's because a lot of peg chinks and style of tricks that Stefan does require, if you have a big foot, you're going to be whacking your peg all the time, or you're going to be hitting your peg and pedal at the same time if you want to do a crank arm grind versus just a feeble grind or something. So to give a little extra space there, that's what I think the longer chainstay is for. I asked a few questions to Stefan on Instagram, but I got a few answers, but I didn't ask that one exactly. But that's my guess on the longer back end. It also makes for a more stable bike, stable, whatever. So let's get into the parts, man. Awesome frame. It's called pulled hemp colorway. It's kind of like an army green. but a little bit lighter with the Underground Stranger Honest stickers. It also comes with a sticker pack that I still have that I showed during the original unboxing. But let's get into the parts here. We'll start up at the top. All these parts on this bike are new. I will let you know if they are not new. And we'll start with a fresh pair of the Sean Ricani Cult grips, which I think look great on this. I throw on par ends on builds that to sell just because if they get nicked up, I don't mind, because if the bike sells, I'll throw a fresh pair of bar ends in there. Because the Stranger come over bars are out of stock almost everywhere right now, I kind of went with something just a little close to the come over bar. I went with the Fiend Rakes bar. This is Johnny Rakes handlebars. He rides for Fiend and used to ride for Animal, but I think he rides for Fiend and Odyssey now. Super tech rider. I love the big box design. It's kind of similar to Stefan's come over bars. It's a 9.5 inch rise, and I think it's a 28.5 inch width, which is nice. You can cut it down a little, but I like the way it looks now. Moving down to the stem, I have Stefan August's signature Primo stem. This is the down stem, which is somewhat of a mixture. They'll say it's a mixture between a top load and front load. This is a top load stem. It just has a bit of a drop to it right here, as you can see. This little drop area, which, you know, cool design. It's a CNC'd stem, which means it's pretty heavy. It has extra large bolts, which doesn't help. And it also does not have the recess that most stems have, that we all tend to love so much, especially someone like me who's huge on aesthetics. But that's okay. That's, you know, the style for now. I also had this refinished, and I had the lettering powder coated in white just to add a little flair to it. It looks pretty cool. I'll show you guys a close-up later. And for the headset, I threw on a Sunday headset. The reason I chose this headset in particular is because if you look at the head tubes for Fit Bikes and Stranger and a few others, BSD, they have a similar shaped cup at the top of the head tube, and headsets can be finicky. You can find yourself, you know, with a compression bolt, you can find yourself with a top cap, and I know they're somewhat of the same thing, but a compression bolt, you don't want to tighten it down all the way. You want to tighten it down as much as you can for the bars to spin freely, right? Which is probably why these aren't spinning as freely. And then tighten the sides. They say that you really don't need a top cap, that it clamps on, but I like to have it there for safety purposes. I've seen a few fly off, but this one's spinning pretty good at the moment. I'm going to look a little more into that then. But so this one I used as a compression cap. I did not tighten this down fully. I tightened this down as much as I could for the bars to spin freely. Whatever. I'm going to double check it. And then, also it's a 48 millimeter reach. Yes, 48 millimeters. Might be 49, but I know it's a shorter reach stem, definitely designed for street. The forks we have here. Originally, I went with the same forks that I had on the Yumi build, which were the Primo HD forks with the 13 millimeter offset. And then I did contact a few guys that did ride for Stranger and asked if any one of them actually rode a 13 millimeter offset, because that's really steep. It's definitely for a particular kind of riding, and I thought, personally, to cruise around on a bike with a 13 millimeter offset's a little bit scary, kind of, especially if you're planning on going down any types of transitions. I mean, it really brings the forks in, which is why 15 millimeter is pretty much as low as I'd recommend anyone go, unless, you know, you really have specific needs to get, you know, on your front wheel, because after that it can get a little sketchy at skate parks. So I have here the Primo Infinity forks with a 25 millimeter offset. Excellent fork, excellent price point on the forks. They're $140, and they're light. They look great. They're welded, not an invest cast, you know, single tube fork, but laser cut dropouts, nothing that, you know, is going to break anytime soon, so you don't have to worry about that. Moving on to the seat, we have Ultimate Primo biscuit seat. As you guys know, big fan of the Primo biscuit seat. This is a fresh new biscuit seat. Sorry, the bars were pre-owned. I did not mention that. These were pre-owned Johnny Rakes bars. So if I think of who I got those from, I will let you know and shout them out. Next. So yeah, Primo biscuit seat. This is Stefan August's signature seat by him in the Hourglass Theory. they now have a new Slim Biscuit seat, which is a Primo Slim seat. It's got the same cool embroidering on. It's just a slimmer style seat. So that's pretty cool. That's coming out real soon. And of course, I had a basic Primo seat post, but it wasn't long enough. And if you've seen these guys ride, you know, they all rock the super high seat posts, and I couldn't not have that kind of a style on this one. I just really wanted to see what it felt like. So I had found this Shadow one, which Shadow makes an extra long seat post, put it on there. And I'll tell you what, guys, riding this thing is super comfortable. I'm 5 foot, I'm 5 foot 8.5. Definitely, I'm not 5'9", I'm 5'8 and a half, and that's without my shoes and whatnot. And this felt really cool to cruise around on. It almost felt like a beach cruiser to me that I could do tricks on. So that was one thing I really liked about it, even though it's probably meant for a rider that's a little taller, maybe around the high 5s, early 6 foot range, if that makes sense. But all right, getting into the next thing here. Oh, this also, Primo has a super cool top cap here. I know I'm jumping back and forth, and I'm sorry, guys, but yep, sometimes I notice things, sometimes I don't. I give this thing one shot because I don't want to bore you. Moving on, these are the Primo wall tires. Yes, these are the tires that Yumi's riding. A lot of the guys on the team ride, and these are in a 2.35 inch width, 20 inch by 2.35 inches. Although it does look a little more narrow than that. If you've seen the Demolition Momentum tires, which I don't have with me, versus in a 20.35 versus these in a 20.35. The Demolition Momentums are going to look a lot fatter than these are, but these are also great for grinding because they're a little bit slimmer, and for wall rides, as you can see, they have the grip all the way around. And another thing I worry about a lot with tires is how much rotational weight they're going to add to the bike. But after throwing these tires on, I realized the bike came out, this entire bike right here, the build is 25.3 pounds. So this right here, sorry, wrist's still messed up, but 25.3 pounds, usually with pegs. And I tried out, let's say we used 4 of the OSS pegs here. These pegs weigh in, 4 of them I think weighed in just under 2 pounds. So the bike would be right around 27 pounds. 4 pegs, full guard, no half link chain, but and these tires that are pretty thick and pretty sturdy. So tires do not add that much rotational weight on this one. I also have some lighter rims. I use the Cinema Pin 333 rims, and in the front I have a Primo N4FL hub guard in rose pink. Looks beautiful. This hub guard, I also separately ordered the alloy hub guards, so you have a set of metal alloy hub guards in the front that have been discontinued versus the plastic ones that currently come with the hubs if you order them. And in the rear I have a Primo XL balance hub laced to the same rim, and this is also in rose gold. It's in left-hand drive. It's an XL. It has an extra large, I believe, bearing on the inside here, and it also has an extra large bolt here. It doesn't take a 17, it takes a 19, which is kind of annoying. So I think that's why they went back to the regular size balance hub, but this is the Balance XL, and it sounds awesome, I'll tell you that. That's right out of the box. All right, so moving on, drivetrain. We have the Primo Connor Keating turbo pedals, which Connor no longer rides for Stranger, but these are some super comfortable pedals. I like them. I've heard they're somewhat, I don't want to say flimsy, but I've heard they do break on people, but I've also seen Connor do a ton of pedal grinds with these pedals successfully, so I'm not going to say too much bad about them because they're super comfortable and they're lightweight and they seem to last for me. They also are connected directly to the pedal, so you can tighten them with a 6mm Allen key in the back. Forward towards the handlebars tightens, so you go that way to tighten, and if you have to, you can slip one of those skinny wrenches in the side if it were to get caught to probably pry it off. But I would just recommend grease your pedals before you put them on the cranks. Metal to metal, thread to thread. I always recommend grease. You might think grease might make it slippery. It does not. The pedal will stay on even better if you use grease first. A touch of grease. Moving on, we have the 165 millimeter, 24 millimeter spindle Stevie Churchill cranks. These are an iconic crank, I think. I think they will be around for a while. I don't know if they're no longer available in this color or the turquoise, which I do have some of. But yeah, awesome crank, and everyone who knows Stevie Churchill, and if you don't, look him up. Probably one of the greatest riders of the around early 2010s, you know, ever to watch. Kid was amazing. Still around, I believe. He's from the Northeast, which is where I'm at, but I think he's up in New England area. Next to that, we have a 28 tooth Primo Griffin guard. This is a solid alloy Griffin guard, 6061 T6 aluminum. Has the cool Griffin, it's kind of like a shadow look to it. It's a matte black with like almost like a kind of holographic little griffin there, which I always find cool. You can't always see that unless it's in the sun. And the bottom bracket, what's super cool about these Churchill cranks, they do come with a bottom bracket. So when you buy them, that extra $39 that bottom brackets cost now, you think the cranks, oh, well, cranks are selling for $200. Yes, but they include a bottom bracket, which is $30 to $39 nowadays. So say you get a set of cranks for $140, you get a good deal. Boom. But now you got to buy a bottom bracket. Till you get that ordered or get to a bike shop and get it, it's another $40. Cranks $180 now. So that's what's super cool about the Churchill cranks. And they are really beefy at 24 millimeters. As you can see here, it has a little Primo logo on the bottom bracket here too. So let me take a look here, see if I forgot anything. I did go over the weight. 25.3 pounds I said, and 27 pounds with 4 pegs, which is pretty light. We have a 9.5 inch tall handlebar, so it is kind of tall. The seat's tall, the 10 inch standover's tall, and all in all, sick bike, I'm not gonna lie. Good work, Stefan. I heard the 22 crew guys are gonna come out with a version of a frame that I'm excited for through Tip Plus, which is one of my distributors. So if there's any other bikes you guys are looking forward to, want to see, want to order, hit me up in the comments. I'll let you know if I have it. If you're interested in the Colt build, in the Colt frame, I'm going to have that deal until Swamp Fest is over. So, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in on this one. I hope you like it. I hope you could hear me. And hit me up if you want to see anything new. All right. Oh, this is also left-hand drive. Alright, let's zero in here on a few of these parts. Here we have the Fiend Rakes bars. Sean Ricani grips. Obviously, you throw some new grip bar ends on there. This is the Primo stem that I had refinished. And as you can see, the caps on the Sunday, normally I would cut the forks down and allow that to sit flush. But this is a built-to-sell frame, so I'm going to adjust it here for you a little. Very big body on this frame. Tall head tube, beautiful rose gold, Churchill crank, and in the back there's the XL balance hub. You can see the bolts are a little extra large. And we'll cap it off with the biscuit seat and the excellent stitching. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.